For All Mankind, 1989 documentary about the manned missions to the moon, the Apollo missions that NASA was running in the late 1960s and the early 1970s. It's basically a set of historical records put together. The movie consists of actual footage from the control room, from the launch of one of the rockets, the flights themselves, and the moon landings, along with the astronauts walking on its surface. And it's narrated with also actual recordings from Mission Control in Houston and the astronaut comms, plus original score written by Brian Eno. That's pretty much it. There isn't really a storyline, a specific take on those missions that would contextualize them and set them firmly within the politics of the time, the history of that era, or even quite plainly in just the personal lives of the astronauts involved. It's just distilled footage from the missions. The only thing that was really done was that resembles a narrative structure is putting them in a somewhat logical order. First, we have the bits on Earth with the flight preparation, then takeoff, then the flight, and finally the moon landings. And within those stages of the missions, recordings from multiple flights are edited together to provide like multiple perspectives. As such, it's a pretty unique film, even among documentaries, because it doesn't really take a stance or try to make a point or have some sort of universal message about the events other than space is amazing, moon is fascinating, and the people who made it possible to go there and the people who went there are pretty damn amazing as well. Which are all points which I think are not very controversial. I think we can all agree on them. And to me as a person that is kind of into the topics of space and astronomy, or at least more so in the past than now, but still, it was very interesting to have this sort of unfiltered stream of consciousness, of thoughts and musings from the actual guys that left Earth. And a lot of the footage is pretty unbelievable when you think about it. The spacewalks during the flight, the moon excursions, this is stuff that we see in science fiction movies, but this was real life. There's also a launch sequence which was filmed up close with special camera setup. The cameras were somewhat secured from all the heat and light and the fire, and yet they only each of them only operated for only just a couple of seconds at a time before being jettisoned far away to avoid being completely destroyed, and only retrieved afterwards using GPS trackers. That's something I haven't actually seen before, and it's kind of difficult to believe. Even knowing it was real, my brain was like hesitant to accept that it wasn't CGI. It's all pretty awe-inspiring overall and weirdly peaceful as well, especially the later sequences, the flight and the moon. There's something calming about the desolate darkness of space and seeing Earth out there as a small blue ball in the sky, a planet that you left behind. It is something that the vast majority of us will never experience in person. There's really not much else to say about the film except maybe that it won't be for everyone, I think, because of the deliberate abandoning of traditional narrative structure. I think especially when you're not interested in a certain topic, it helps to have someone contextualize it for you and ground it for you and make it at least seem like there's a story being told. Whereas this may to people disinterested in space exploration seem like kind of a dry, museum recording, and I can kind of understand that perspective. But even so, I would definitely recommend that everyone at least tries to see the film because, just for the pure wonder of reminding ourselves what humanity is capable of when we really try.